Ah, the Amiga 2000. Will it live again?
Road to Recovery, Amiga 2000, Part 1.
Okay, this poor old Amiga has seen better days. The keyboard is in a bit of a state. So you can spot that. I'm not even going to attempt to find out what that is, but I'm guessing it's food. Something like a sauce or something. But I should be able to clean it up. I mean, the keys, they feel okay from a... Nothing's like sticky or not quite working. Spacebar feels good. So there's hope there. It's going to need a good clean. So that's the keyboard and the curly cable.
It's got a bit of schmutz on it.
But nothing that we can't clean. We've got an external floppy drive with floppy, what does that say? C-Rio or C-Rio 6? I don't know. Anyway, the drive seems to work okay. Well, ejector disc. What about these two front drives? Oh, the mechanism feels nice. This drive, that's a good sign. Again, bit of grub. Cables have seen better days. We can clean that, or we can clean this. The rubber feet have shifted over time. Can do that with heat, I guess. So, as far as I can tell, it hasn't had any upgrades. You can see the back panel on that. Hopefully you can. Oh, not quite. I'll get some light. Okay, looking at the back, we can see none of the expansion ports are populated. We've got the requisite outputs, serials, mono video, left right audio, disk drive, parallel port, and the RGB port, the video port. The fan looks spotless. So from a build-up of dust point of view, that is amazingly clean. And this would have had hours and hours upon hours of use. So the serial number 16,281, so that might tell me it's one of the earlier ones. The warranty sticker has been compromised at some point, so this has been opened, but all the screws 1, 2, 3 and 4 are in place, so that's good. Bit of yellowing on the side. I don't know whether that's dirt or not. I won't know till I clean it. But what I might do now is see if we've got a worthy computer of restore. It's going to depend on whether or not this has a backup battery, real-time clock backup battery on board, and whether or not that battery has leaked, and if it has, to what extent. Let's see if we can actually save this thing. To have a Amiga 2000 nowadays is just amazing. So I'll remove the case and we'll have a peek inside. Looks pretty clean, but I have spotted a problem. What is that?
Sorry, I went poopy in my pants.
We need to cut that out and start neutralizing with some vinegar. So that's what I'll be doing right now.
That feels good.
there's a bit of green. Tiny bit of green in that top corner of the socket, and a bit of green in that.
My CPU hurts.
Actual CPU itself, not too bad. Bit of green, nothing we can't clean off. Certainly seen worse. Underneath looks fine. There's no obvious signs of corrosion of the pins. I don't know what the underside of the board looks like, but I might give this a bit of a scrub with some vinegar. I have no idea if this machine works. What I might do, I've got to leave this for a few days. I'll come back to it and we'll continue on. But I guess the part one of this video will be more akin to checking out for damage, just having a general overview, see if the machine actually boots and still works. I mean, it's just the base Amiga 2000. It doesn't come with the hard drive. It's just a bare motherboard. It seems to have only the one floppy drive, but there's been a second one installed at some point. But I'm dead keen to find out whether or not this will still work. I have no idea what condition the power supply is in. Before I even plug it to the motherboard again, I'll end up firing up the power supply separately and make sure it's not overvolting or doing anything silly. Possibly recap it anyway. I will recap this as well. Oh, there's a bit of corrosion there as well, but that's not battery, that's something's leaked inside here. Get this guy, well, I'll just clean his legs, take some of the tarnish off, never hurt anyone. Other than that, they look great, super pleased. And yes, I am grounded. I think this NEC chip here is the keyboard controller.
That is my ROM, dickhead. Key.
The CPU, it's got to be the ROM. But I can't determine what version ROM it is. I mean, it does say 315093-02. I'll have to look that up. I'll find out anyway when I boot the machine. I'll just sit this back over the socket rather than push it back in because I've got to IPA the socket once the vinegar's done its work. They are dual wipe sockets, which is good. I always like the dual wipes. So all the chips are present. Oops. Let's just put him over there out of the way. All right, we'll let it soak and let the, I'll come back in the morning and we'll have a squiz. And then we'll clean up this area with some isopropyl and we'll go from there. The monitor will of course need its own dose of cosmetic TLC, but I am pleased to say it still has a clear and vibrant picture. Ah, those sweet scan lines. The keyboard teardown and clean will just have to wait for another video. I just want to get this Amiga fired up and play some Paperboy, or maybe some Eliminator, maybe Rick Dangerous, or Silkworm. Ah, just so many great games. Okay, turning the monitor on, turning the A2000 on. Seems to be an issue already. Both driver lights are staying on. Nothing on the monitor yet. What's going on? This is probably the worst outcome. Still nothing. Where's my little blue disc? Alright, the caps lock button works. What about the reset? Caps lock button flashed. Turn the brightness right up. Nope. Green button works. Muck around with the horizontal shift. Well, at least I know the monitor's been tested on another Amiga and that's fine. This can only mean one thing. The A2000 is dead. It's dead, Jim. Dead.
Doc, can you help me?
So last night I was working on this A2000. I determined that the 1084S monitor works perfectly fine when plugged into my known working A500. So that's absolute win. I thought I'd be having an issue with that. Turning my attention back to the A2000, different story. We've got no boot, we've got no action whatsoever, we've got no screen, no output, no hard drive clicks, nothing. So it's almost like there's no transactions between the ROM and the CPU. My next, I want to work from the CPU back. So that's my problem solving strategy in this one. Making sure the data lines and the address lines between the ROM and the CPU are intact. The localized, actually I'll bring you in a bit closer. Okay, you can see the real-time clock backup battery location here. The corrosion is fairly localized. There was only a slight green pin on, no, the opposite, pin 64 pin, I want to say. So pin 64 had an issue. It was green, and during the cleaning process, the pin actually snapped off. So this 68000 is out of my working Amiga, and I've swapped that with and tested the CPU. So the CPU is known good, so that's fine. The ROM is known good. So my next problem is, well, next task is finding out whether or not we've got any broken traces or any corroded traces that I haven't been able to spot. But I think from this point on, we're going to remove the motherboard from the chassis, because I think it's going to be too hard to keep working. I'm going to need to sort of look underneath as well, whether or not there's any corroded vias or anything that probably needs a bit of TLC. I mean, there's a bit of darkening on some of the vias around the site where the corrosion has occurred, but nothing too, I've seen worse. So there's nothing too alarming as far as that's concerned. But what I might have to do is perhaps remove the chips again, have a good look underneath. Worst case, we'll remove the sockets and resolder them and see what happens. But there was a corroded pin on the PLC, on the fat lady here, the PLCC socket. I do need to make sure that does have contact to the pin itself to numerous spots. I think it's the UDS line, according to the schematics. and make sure that does present anywhere else on the board where it does need to connect. And I would suggest that this is okay, but I've read many stories on the net saying possibly not. But I have ordered a couple of more sockets just in case that socket is bad. I haven't tested this chip in the working Amiga 500 yet, because I think I've got one that does take the 8372A chip, so that's probably not an issue there if I do that. So going forward, I'm going to check some lines between the ROM and the CPU, and then we'll go ahead and then branch out from there and see what's going on. Okay, 2 hours later, checked all the address lines and the data bus between the ROM and the CPU. Turns out only one data line was crook. So it was ROM pin 26, CPU pin 63, and it was a broken trace just down in this corner here between that and a VIA. So a quick little fix. It's not the most elegant, but that's the only thing I could find. And it was definitely related to the battery leaking, and it just perished one of the traces. So I did repair that. I do now have continuity between pin 63 and pin 26 of the ROM. So I'm going to drop the ICs back in and turn it on and give it a go. I did reseat most of the chips. Denise and Paula here, I couldn't actually get them out because they've seated so far down I can't get my spudger under there at the moment. I'm not going to force it just yet. I'll wait until I see how I go with this test, and hopefully we get some action. Fingers crossed. All right, I'll just pop the ICs back in and go from there. Okay, pin 63, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Oh, yes.
Please subscribe.
Moment of truth. First spot on. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's working. Ha! And the drives are doing their normal tick tick. All right, let's see if we can load something. This drive is working. Wow. The vertical sinks a little bit out. Oh my God. Holy shit. I'm just going to fix that screen because the vertical. Vertical shift, vertical size, horizontal size, vertical size.
Another retro computer, saved from e-waste. Please remember to smash that like button. Please comment below on how I can be upgraded. If you liked this presentation, please consider subscribing. It was a lot of work. This has been a XYZ Concepts production. Thanks for watching.